cool, man. I'm just jumping in and being like, it's the me show. No. Hello, and welcome to the 0th episode of We're the Opponent. I had to think what we called then.
Hang on, wait, 0th?
Are we the 0th?
This is a 0th. It's just that I've always called it Zeroth, and actually now that you say 0th, that makes way
Zeroth?
more. Yeah.
That sounds like a bad guy in a fantasy film.
It does, doesn't it? No, it's almost certainly Zeroth, but for some reason I've always thought of it as Zeroth.
Yeah, no, I have things like that. Like, you know, like when you like trick out a character in, say, Dungeons and Dragons and properly min-max them. Like, I kind of got it into my head that that's like twinking your character. But I haven't looked it up. I'm pretty sure twinking is something else.
It is. I can actually tell you what twinking is.
Really? Is it? I thought it was a bit lewd.
It sounds lewd.
Okay.
But only because of the gay porn connotations that it has.
Okay. I mean, anything that happens specifically in gay porn, that's going to be a bit lewd, isn't it?
Well, one would have thought so. There's probably storyline in that. Anyway, what twinking actually is when you have two characters in something like an MMORPG,
right?
Like World of Warcraft, and what you do is you use your high-level character to give your low-level alt character much better gear. So what
like,
happens is it's way strong. You know, it essentially always has the best gear because you've already got loads of money.
Yeah, and it's like just too overpowered for its level. So that's kind of similar to what you get in D&D. But in fact, no. Right, I was going to ask, but wait, what's the gay porn connotation? But then I was like, do you know what? We're talking about Hearthstone, and we've tangented so hard at the beginning.
We haven't even said what this is, which is the entire point of this.
To explain what this is our 0th episode, or first episode, or whatever. We recorded a load of other stuff, but we didn't really know what we wanted to do, so we just wanted to have some fun and record some guff. Now I think we've kind of got a slightly better idea of what we're doing, so it's probably a good idea to tell you, our viewing audience, all 5 of you, what it is that we're thinking of doing.
Yeah, and we do go over this a little bit in episode 1 or episode 2, depending on how we actually structure this. But we'll work it in post. It'll be fine.
Everything works out in post.
But essentially, what this is I am new to Hearthstone, and I wanted some help to get good at Hearthstone because I enjoy the game and I want to get better at it.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And Ruskey has been playing for quite a while.
I've been playing since probably the last third of beta.
That's pretty good.
I don't want to think about how many hours I've played this game.
Meanwhile, I've just kind of come up to about a month of playing Hearthstone, so there's quite a time difference there. So what this mostly is me asking questions about what I should do with my decks, and me asking questions about crafting, us playing Hearthstone and discussing our decisions, and things like that. So kind of like anybody who's new to the game who's wondering, why do people put that in their deck? Or why would you choose this over that? Or what should I choose given these options? You can kind of follow along.
Yeah. It's like, it's not super comp, but it's like taking the game seriously kind of thing. Well, not even that seriously. I guess like, we're talking about having fun seriously.
Serious fun.
So, yeah, that makes no sense, really, does it? Well, I think it makes some sense. It makes enough sense. That is the factor. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll do.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Okay, sure. Let's actually have some content apart from talking about twinking in our first episode.
So, in my last pack, I got a hungry crab.
My condolences.
Thank you.
You've got 2 hungry crabs.
I've got 2 hungry crabs.
I don't have any hungry crabs. I think I got one like years ago, but this is when I had no cards, and I immediately dusted that shit.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, it seems to me these are epics.
Yes.
Which seems kind of pointless. But
yes.
Why should I just craft these? Should I just disenchant these for
dust? Do you want
dust?
to dust them? Well, right, okay. So here's the thing about a card like Hungry Crab. If Murlocs become a really big thing in the meta, which isn't impossible.
Well, they kind of are at the moment.
Well, they're around, but I mean, Hungry Crabs are a little bit shit against
everything
the
else.
Paladin Murloc deck. Because they kind of want their Murlocs to die.
Okay.
So, I mean, as an early player, I don't think there's anything wrong with dusting those. As an anecdote, though, there was one time in Hearthstone's history when the Hungry Crab was epic. It was in some tournament or other. It was an early show match thing, and it was Trump, I believe, versus Artosis. And Artosis brought a Murloc deck, and Trump had the clutch Hungry Crab in his deck, which was just completely off the wall. Everyone was like, no one plays. He's got a Hungry... Oh my God, he's getting to do this in a tournament. And yeah, that moment was... Yeah, it's good. I suggest you look it up on the YouTubes.
I'll take a look. But
yeah. But yeah, no, don't feel bad about... I mean, right, here's the thing. Even it... Well, okay, here's two instances I can think where this might become a thing. I can imagine that there might be a really strong Murloc meta where destroying a Murloc to turn it into a 3/4 is really good. I can also kind of imagine that there might be some kind of Murloc deck where you want to kill your own Murlocs. Possibly. Which isn't ridiculous. Like, that's not that far-fetched. So, I mean, again, it's like dusting anything. You need to, like, weigh up what are the chances that you're going to play something like this. Now, you're kind of a control-y player, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing we should say to our listeners. We're both kind of control-y players. Like, neither of us get that much of a kick out of Rush. Although, I mean, at some point, Gray, you should really try Rush and, like, see if you can get into that. Yeah, totally. Like, every now and then there'll be like some quite innovative new Rush deck. Like when Shaman like became a useful deck, I put together the Shaman Rush deck and played it a bit. And I even won some games, but then I was like, I'm just not finding this fun. So I stopped. But you should definitely like try it to see if it, might push your buttons or whatever.
I don't think I've even got the cards for a Rush deck.
You probably don't. At some point you will though, like either Hunter or Warlock. Although Hunter is just not doing well at the moment. Like for ages, Hunter Rush was such a big thing. And now Hunter, like you just don't see Hunters these days. Maybe that means I need to put together some kind of hipster Hunter deck.
Hipster Hunter deck. Isn't kind of the problem with Hunter that it mostly just seems to be kind of a lot of aggro, and that's pretty much it?
Well, it's got some great cards that could like control in a really interesting way. Explorer's Hat, you're looking at right there, it basically changes your hero power. Like some player made this analogy and it's really good. They're like, Explorer's Hat, a way of thinking about it is it changes your hero power because it's a 2-mana thing that you're going to keep getting back. The problem is you need to spend a card to change your hero power, which is always a bit awkward, yada, yada, yada. I mean, the big problem with Hunter as a control class is that all its hero power does is bring the other player closer to death. So in terms of a useful kind of control play, it really doesn't have one. And like even new cards like Finley Mergleton, like he's a card that you're giving up just to change your hero power into something not completely useless to the way you're trying to play.
I don't quite see Finley Mergleton as actually being that useful.
He's really good in some decks. Like really good in some decks. Like he's seen play in decks like Rush Shaman, because Shaman's hero power isn't very aggressive. If you like play Finley Mergleton, I believe there's something in the region of a 1/3 chance of you gaining the Hunter's hero power, which for Rush Shaman is fucking amazing. What else is he playing? Like, I mean, in a control Hunter deck, he'd probably see play. He's generally in decks where people want to switch stuff around, like in a, say, Rush Warrior deck. You'll probably play Finley Mergleton. In fact, there've been some Rush Warrior decks floating around that I imagine they play him just because to change out your thing which just makes you have more durability into something which hits them for 2, that's really useful.
Interesting.
Yeah, he's kind of getting a lot of action at the moment. Also, has he seen action in Paladin Murloc decks? No, maybe not. He doesn't seem that good for that because summoning dudes.
Yeah, you want lots and lots of dudes in the Murloc decks.
I suspect he's going to go out of fashion a little bit. I think he's a little bit... Well, no, I mean, he'll still be in there for, like, say, Shaman Rush decks. I don't see reason not to include him. Well, apart from the fact that a 1/3 isn't great.
No.
No, but, you know.
Okay. I'm still not sold on Finley Mergleton.
No, I haven't found room for him in it. Well, right, okay. I've toyed with the idea of putting him into a control rogue deck, but again, just a bit slow, and like, what are you looking to get? Is it actually going to have that much like control over the game? But yeah, who knows?
I do like the idea of potentially trying out a Mill Rogue at some point.
Mill Rogue is fun. I definitely recommend giving it a go at some point.
I just don't know if I have the cards.
You got a couple of gang ups. Do you have any vanishes? Are they an epic or are they a common?
I don't know.
6 mana, 6 mana. Right.
Oh, 6 mana.
Yeah, they're expensive. Oh,
Ooh,
they're soulbound. Okay, so that's good because I mean, obviously they're really important for your Mill Rogue.
Yeah.
Have you got Cold Light Oracles?
Are those rogue or are those neutral?
Those are a 3 mana neutral Murloc card.
Hang on, wait, cold. No,
they're rares as well, so they might cost a little bit. They're I think from the basic pack. They're the ones that make both players draw 2 cards.
Yeah, so, I know those.
Yeah. You've got a Healbot. I remember us crafting that. So
I do have a Healbot.
Yeah, we should definitely have a look at Mill Rogue. That might be something you might be able to put together. I've got a horrible feeling it's going to need some expensive cards. Oh wait, preps. Preps are epics. They're really expensive.
I don't have any preps.
Yeah, you kind of need those for like extra spellness and such. I'll have a look at some proper Mill Rogue decks and work out what you're going to get. I've got a horrible feeling it's going to be a bit expensive for you, but...
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is a real problem with like... trying out weird decks early on, is that you spend so many of your resources to get the cards together, and then if you just don't enjoy the playstyle, you're like, well, shit. I worked like a month to get a load of cards which are now largely redundant. I mean, in like the far, far future, everything will be useful. Oh my god, you don't even have 2 Eviscerates.
Nope.
Or 2 Shadow Steps. Yeah, you'd need a lot of stuff. You need a Blade Flurry as well. That's quite expensive. In fact, go through the Rogue cards and crafting. Let's see what you'd need for a Mill Rogue.
So I need preparation. 2 preparations,
right?
you
need new preps. You need at least 1 Blade Flurry. You need another Eviscerate. You'd need another Shadow Step. Okay, next page. Nope, none of those are essential. Wait, what happened to... Do you have any poison blades? Is it called Poison Blade? Oh, that's
No.
1 cost. Back it up. Not Poison Blade. I can't remember what the hell it's called. Left.
This is as far left as I can go.
Oh, because it's a... Okay, undo the crafting. Turn off crafting. What it is, yes, deadly poison. There it is. It's a soulbound thing. Okay, ignore it. We've got deadly poisons. Everything's fine. Yeah, so you'd have to craft a few things, but I mean, it's not out of this world to do it. So, do you have a Youthful Brewmaster's Commons? In fact, are they even in Mill Rogue these days? They might not be. Okay, you got 2 of them. It's all good. Okay, so, I mean, once you get some preps, preps are like a solid rogue card, but they're both epic, so it's quite a kind of commitment early on. I guess it depends. Do you think other forms of rogue might be enjoyable to you?
What other forms of rogue are there?
Well, okay, so there's Oil Rogue, which is... It's a weird deck. It's like a rush deck, except you're not playing stuff early. It basically like won't play much for the first couple of turns. Then it plays a load of stuff, tries to flood the board with Violet Teacher stuff, and tries to put in a couple of like really big hits with weapons and finish off with like a Blade Flurry for 6+. So that's a thing. And also Miracle Rogue is making a resurgence.
What is Miracle Rogue?
So Miracle Rogue is you whack in a load of cheap-ass rogue spells and you whack in Gadgets and Auctioneers. Gadgets and Auctioneers being a 6 mana for 4/4 creature, which whenever you play a spell, you draw a card. So the idea is that you can bring out a Gadgets and Auctioneer, you can conceal him, you can prep, you can play other stuff, so you can hopefully keep him alive. And it just basically means that you have you kind of have a slow build-up to this really explosive point in your deck where you cycle through most of your deck, deal a ridiculous amount of damage to them, and hopefully win.
That kind of sounds like it might be a lot of fun, actually.
It might be. It's a hard deck to play. It requires a lot of thought, which is good.
That kind of sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, rogue decks are interesting. Like, rogue decks are not like your mindless rush decks. I mean, that's a stupid term anyway, because every rush deck requires actually quite a considerable amount of thought. A lot more than like the stereotyped would give credit for. But yeah, I mean, it might be worth a look to see if like you're into that. I'm just concerned that it might be you spend an awful lot of dust on something which, in fact, no, screw it. If you're having fun trying stuff out, then it's probably a good investment.
Yeah, fair enough. I think first I'd like to fill out my priest a bit more, just because I'm definitely having fun with the priest.
Yes, no, I'd go with that. This is like how I started Hearthstone, what kept me in it. It was like, get one class, in my case, it was mage. Get all the stuff you want for that, so you can like do all the different variations of it, like really explore that class to the full and see what they're good at. And then once you kind of have that like firm base, then like branching out into other classes seems like really good. Because it's very frustrating when you're trying to do a class and you're like, well, I just don't have those cards, so you're making concessions. Being able to like have one class that you have everything on, and you can like really kind of build craft decks. And like, so here's the thing, like one thing I really enjoy is deck design and like tweaking decks myself. And unless you have all of the cards for a particular class, it's very hard to do that. Because you'll tend to be like, oh, I could try out this thing, and I've spent all my mana on the thing, all my dust on the thing even, and now I'm like, well, that didn't work, and that was like half a month's worth of dust. Shit. Yeah, it's no fun.
So one of the things that I've kind of... Would I be better off buying, kind of crafting a whole bunch of neutral cards? Or... Because I kind of feel like one of the things... Because I get those daily quest things.
Yes.
I keep finding, like, if it's not a priest or it's not a general one, like win 5 games or something like that, or played 30 spell cards, if I have to construct a deck for a different class, I had to do druid to get my last one.
Oh, and it's just a bit of a pain.
And it's just a royal pain in the arse. I'm just like, well, I can kind of get one of those decks that's on the somewhere like one of the Hearthstone websites.
Yeah.
And
So-
kind of throw that together. And then I'm just like, a lot of these cards are kind of very mediocre. I don't feel like throwing in a Chillwind Yeti. Not
Yes.
a bad card. It's just like I feel like I could get like when I'm putting in those what are those 3-cost cards? The acidic. What's the
Acidic
names?
Swampoos.
Acidic
That's a 2-cost
Swampoos.
card.
2-cost card, yeah.
Is that what I'm thinking? Yeah.
When I put 2 of those in, because I've got nothing better, and it's not like I'm thinking about destroying my opponent's weapons, I feel a little bit like I've failed.
I know what you're feeling. So the way I got around this when I was starting was I'd build up a bank of gold, so that what I'd do is when a daily quest came up, I'd have an arena run with that class. And that way I'd get wins there, and I wouldn't have to like play constructed with subpar decks that just felt a bit janky.
That kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, you've got a golden owl, but you don't have a normal owl. Okay, keep the golden owl.
Yeah.
I guess that's awkward for you because, well, I mean, we've actually got an arena run on the go, which we need to finish and record.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming we have. Have you played that without me?
I've not played it without you.
Okay, good. The other way to do it is tavern brawls.
Yes. Whenever there's a
except
tavern
when
brawl
it's a tavern brawl that requires you to construct it with good cards you already have.
Yeah.
And then it's a bit sad again.
The previous tavern brawl was a lot of fun, and I did do a warlock quest with that, because those fit together very nicely.
Yes, like putting together a very solid warlock deck for that doesn't require expensive cards at all.
It wasn't even that solid, but it was still fun.
Yeah. That's what matters.
But yeah, for the most part, I'm just like, I need to play Mage, and I've got almost nothing. Druid, I think, is one of my worst ones, actually.
One thing we should talk about, maybe not now, as we're wanting a snappy first episode to not like just grind everyone down with an hour-long epic, but is managing your daily quests is actually quite a thing.
Yes.
Like, in fact, let's go and have a look. In fact, like, screw it, let's do that now. Let's get your daily quests. Okay. Now, at the beginning, you should pretty much always have at least 2 quests unfinished.
I had one of those things where I had 2 of basically the same quest for 60 mana yesterday.
Oh, yeah, 2 for 60. Wipe those bad boys out. Definitely.
Yeah, I had win 5 games with Rogue and Druid, and win 5 games with either Druid or Warlock. And I was like, I can strike one deck. If I do both.
5 Druids, then I've totally killed that. No, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, like what? Okay, so that Shaman and Warlock victory quest you have there, you shouldn't be looking to complete that unless you're actively playing those classes and enjoying it. Like, you can just leave that there till you can change your quests up tomorrow and try and get something worth more gold.
Yes.
Like, the dream is to get the 7 wins and get 100 gold, or just get the pack.
I was a little bit sad this week that the Tavern Brawl gave me a card back rather than a pack.
Yes. Yeah, that's a weird one. There was a lot of salt online about that. I think people aren't entitled to that card pack. They need to chill their beans about that one. I think the timing was a little unfortunate. To do it for Christmas was a bit like, well, yeah, never mind. But yeah, I mean, Blizzard were really upfront from the beginning that like they're not always going to give people a card pack for that. Like, that's just starting at Brawl to get it populated and interesting. So yeah, I can see why they've stopped that. I mean, the thing that I'm really pinning all my hopes on is that they're going to have, like, they say they've come up with a better plan to make the game not as odious for new players.
Please.
And that's just something I'm really hoping for. Because, I mean, we're tangenting again here, but might as well talk about it. Like, Hearthstone is currently one of my favourite games. I think it's currently my most played game. And I really enjoy it. I think it's a great game. But I can't recommend it to my friends. Like, because if I were to start playing now, like not having played it since beta, like if I start playing now, I'd have a really lousy time because I'd be like, man, I've got no cards. I can't construct decks and do that cerebral part, which is one of the things that really gives me a kick. And yeah, it'd be really frustrating.
That's
like,
why I'm on this podcast with you.
Oh, yeah, that.
I'm still having... No, to be fair, I'm still having fun. But admittedly, I think I would be a lot more frustrated if it wasn't for your help.
Yes,
especially...
That's good to hear, I guess.
No, but I mean, one of the biggest things that I'm definitely getting out of the tutoring that you're doing with me is I know kind of where to go next with a lot of the stuff. I was really daunted by when I opened up the crafting and seeing like literally just pages and pages of things. Which
and you're just like, how do I work out what's like,
okay, how do I figure out what do I craft?
It's not even working out what's good, because there's like some really good cards, but they're not versatile. Like early on, you want to craft stuff that you're going to get mileage out of, and that actually requires like it tailoring to find out what the person who's doing the crafting actually enjoys and what legendaries are actually going to be meaningful to them.
Yeah. And I did look a lot on the internet on crafting guides, and they're actually pretty useless.
Yes.
Most of them are just legendary crafting guides. Craft Dr. Boom.
Well, that's a pretty good guide, like straight off. Have you got Boom yet?
No, I don't have anywhere near enough dust.
Oh man, have you not crafted your first legendary yet?
No.
Oh my god, we have to do that like live. Seriously, like it's such a good feeling. Like, in fact, even now crafting legendaries is like, yes.
Does it have like special particle effects and?
Oh yeah, you get to see a thing, and it's all blingy.
Oh, I'm sad that.
Okay, so right now, here's what we're starting. We should start your road to Boom. although you won't want to play him in Priest, like Boom is just really versatile. But yeah, no, I know what you mean about like a lot of the crafting guides. They basically say craft Boom, then think about crafting Sylvanas.
Pretty much.
But yeah, it's not actually all that. Like, I mean, if you're really enjoying Priest, and like, okay, if you really enjoy Control, I'd highly recommend crafting Justicar Trueheart. Because, like, in a lot of Control decks, she's just great. 6 mana, all class.
Yeah, I had the 7 mana thing selected, so I had to deselect that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she just buffs hero powers. It's kind of,
She's kind of excellent.
Yes, for like
Because
Priest, for Warrior, and for Paladin, she's amazeballs.
So for Paladin, does it summon 2?
Yes, you summon 2 dudes. Like, how much does that get out of hand? Let me tell you, really fucking much.
Especially when you combine with those things that buff all your minions.
Yes, Quartermasters.
It's ludicrous. Yeah.
Yeah, they're yeah. No, like Justicar Trueheart. Also, like for Priest, like healing 4 or whacking down a Soul Priest and dealing 4 damage. That's madness. And again, for Warrior, like everyone knows the Warrior thing of like, armoring up for 4 each turn, which is amazing.
It's whenever I see that, I'm just like,
yeah. Although, I mean, if you're playing like, say, Control Warrior, then you've got a long way to go. Like a Justicar Trueheart is not enough. You need to like Wallet Warrior that shit. There's so much stuff you need.
I played against a Wallet Warrior earlier, and it was just painful because I just didn't have enough removal to get anything meaningful on the board.
As your Priest deck should be all right against Wallet Warrior.
It does okay, but it's easy to not have enough removal in your hand. Yes,
unless you can get your draw engine going.
Yeah,
but even then, do you want to get your draw engine going if it's going to go to fatigue?
Yeah, it's tricky. I often find myself with just like, especially if they get something going at like 8 mana, and they've like already they've played an epic already, and I'm just not epic, a legendary already. I just find myself going, I can't quite get the engine going.
Don't have the resources.
Yeah.
Oh god.
I mean, if I've got like a reasonable hand for it, it actually can go very well. I've always been surprised at how long I can last against a deck that's so full of legendaries.
Well, I mean, a big thing is like, unless they're dealing critical damage, you can like coast for a little bit to some extent. But
yeah, but having 2 I think I've only got 1 Shadow Word Death now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to like stat your deck for, because I'm imagining where you are in ladder, you're seeing an awful lot of rush.
Oh yeah, a lot of rush, which has been I've actually been dealing with it a lot better recently. Which has been really nice.
I'm just looking at this again. You need that second Shadow Priest. Oh my god, Cabal Shadow Priests are good. They're just... How have you been finding that since you crafted it, incidentally?
Not super useful.
Really?
Like, I keep finding myself, especially because a lot of the time you are just waiting to play it. Like, it's just so frustrating when they're dropping things with 3 attack.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Well, what you need there is you need
a Shrinkmeister.
2 Cabal Shadow Priests in your deck and 1 Shrinkmeister.
Yeah.
That's normally a pretty good kind of balance. The other thing about Cabal Shadow Priests is you've got to not be scared to just drop it as a 4/5.
Yeah, that's true.
Like sometimes, this is like a really big thing, is knowing when you can just say, do you know what? I don't need to get insane value right now. I just need a body on the board, so let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount of times that I've just dropped it and taken like a Pally's 1/1. Just because I needed the body on the board more than I needed.
That's fine. I mean, like, that's great. Like, you're getting... Well, I mean, it's not great. You're getting a 5/6 for 6 mana, which isn't ridiculous.
No, but when you need a body on the board, you need a body on the board.
Yeah. And, you know, those times when you grab something like a Imp Gang Boss.
Yeah.
So good. Once you get the Shrinkmeister, you'll get the glory of, at one point in your life, you'll Shrinkmaster and Cabal a Ysera, and you'll feel like God.
I look forward to that day, but I don't even have the Shrinkmeister yet.
One day. I think he's only common, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes. But, okay, I wouldn't advise getting in until you've got 2 Shadow Priests, because otherwise, like, your Shrinkmeister is literally just, he's got one card that he synergizes really well with.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he can still be useful for killing stuff, but yeah. Anyway, we've gone over half an hour now, and we really are just spiraling into the minutiae of your deck.
Yeah, let's
we're going to do it at a later date.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is kind of what we're going to do. A lot of talking about my deck. At some point, I am going to spectate you and tell you what to do with your deck, and you're going to tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
At some point, I think we're going to do a review of games that I've played where you haven't coached me.
So we can actually go over like what you did at certain points. Okay,
yeah.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Don't kind of get bogged down, because what we do a lot of the time is we talk about what I should do, and then we don't look at what I would have done without your help.
Yes. Well, I mean, when we're just playing normally, I find that we don't really have enough time to run through all of the thought processes behind it and really analyze them, because it's like you've got, what, a minute and a half for your turn?
Yeah.
What is it, your turn? Is it a minute and a half?
I'm not sure.
I should time it one day.
I'm sure we could just look it up.
Yes.
But, far too easy.
We're going over now. For a later episode, we'll discuss those finer points. It'll be great.
And we start this whole thing off with an arena run, which is going... Well, you'll see, actually.
Yeah, have we actually... In fact, we can't give spoilers.
No.
I think it's going well, isn't it?
Well, we can't say.
Okay, it might be going terribly.
It could be.
Yes.
You'll find out. Anyway, so this is what we're going to do. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy.